Hi, it's Ileana at Awakening Cosmic Reality Show, and we have Jenny Lee today with us. Welcome, Jenny.
Hi, how are
Nice.
you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Well, busy.
Nice. So today we're going to be doing some remote viewing of the triangular craft that have been hovering over my house on and off since 2017. So we're going to have a look at that. 2 images, then we're going to talk about the Enochian. Some people say Enochian, but it's really Enochian magic, portals, seals, keys, and Council of Nine. So I'm gonna share the screen. We're gonna have a look at this first one. So this is the thing that was hovering over my house in July 2017. So can you remote view what that is and what it was doing over my house?
So those are looking for certain energy frequencies on our planet. And so I think I did one with Gaia. We were talking about the ley lines and the pyramids, and these ships are connected with those same energy because and just recently, and when you said this, it's just funny. I'm going to show you what it kind of looks like for the lights. So the lights, if you could see it, you got one light here, one light here, one light here, one light here. On both ends, you're going to see 2 lights, 1 light, 2 lights, 2 lights. So that's the main thing, is don't get confused of just thinking you're going to see 1 light when you see these things. Light is just not helping the situation. So yeah. So the thing is so one that I know that I've seen recently is right over ley lines, and they're staying right over because they've always told me that when that thing in the ley lines, that green crystal that's going to come out of those things that man cannot touch, I don't care who you are, that says you can go in there and dig that information up or hold them, they'll say they will be obliterated by touching it, period. So the thing is if they do that, it's not going to be a good situation. So, and I know one that's close to me, and I went over there probably 2 months ago, just 2 months ago, and I just felt like shock going through my fingers and everything, and it's just like you can tell it's activated. So you don't want to be underneath the ship, and you don't want to be in between the ley lines and the pyramids. That's going to be a complete circle that's going to surround us, but you do not want to be in the way of it, so it will take you out. So that's what they were showing me, that those are all connected and how they are perceived. And it's just funny how when you just sent me that one, and I looked at it and I was like, oh my gosh, she's getting the same shape, the same frequency.
Yeah, because I've seen the black ones, the TR6s, they're usually black. This thing was green and it was glowing, and it just popped in and then morphed out completely. Like I saw it for less than a minute. It just popped in from its warp bubble, from hyperspace, from wherever it was coming, then hovered there for like less than a minute and boom, disappeared from the sky. And it was about 8 p.m. when this thing showed up. 7-8. It was July 17th, 2017. Yeah, around 7 to 8 p.m. And then somebody else also had sightings of this in Surrey, central Surrey, because I'm by the beach. And then these guys had seen this stuff and reported it.
Right.
And it looked like a fireball. So similar type on the same night.
Right.
Just
it was some side views of it too. So it's pretty neat how they are and how they can cloak in to any environment. If they want to be shown, they'll show themselves. If they want to be hidden, they will hide themselves too.
Yeah, and I'm going to show another picture. Share another one so we can have a look, because you sent me some image, you sent me an image of this thing.
Mhm.
They look like kind of like a light beam, like a light
Yep.
ship, but you can
Well, if
tell
you
the
go in,
triangle.
if you can go in closer, you'll see the colors in that one. The
Yeah,
colors are extraordinary.
yeah,
Um,
I can go even
they're
like
like,
that. See,
see how it's just, it's got a two-part to it, which, um, and they were, that session that I was getting, I was out there for 2 hours and I probably saw 5 or 6. And then drones were around too. So I was like, whoa, it's crazy. But yeah, it just doesn't shock you anymore when you see them. You're just like, oh, it's just normal.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Half of my book has these images in it of these triangular craft, and again, because we're photographing them with cell phones or portable little digital cameras, when you're photographing it, it has more of that triangle with the lights. But when you're doing video of it, it just looks like a dot that's zooming in and out. Because if we had good telescopes on our cameras, we could get a close-up of it and see the actual structure. But because it can alter light and frequency, this is how it photographs.
yeah, I mean, I did probably 5 or 6 series of photographs that night, and there was just a ton. And this is the thing, they move, you'll get a reaction out of them with high frequency tones and lights. Like if you do Morse code thing, you'll get a frequency from them too. So it's just to go out there and don't be afraid of it and just play around with the situation.
Yeah,
um
exactly.
so it's easier to see them when you're out in the country.
Yeah, well, I'm out by the ocean, so I have clear sky all the time. I can see them, and whenever I even try to communicate, they'll respond too. If I say I want to see you closer, they'll come closer and they'll like play with you so you can take images of them. Because
Yeah,
this is disclosure. These crafts are showing up to disclose themselves as well. And there's beings inside, or sometimes they're remotely operated. So there is intelligence behind them, correct?
correct. But there's so many different ones that you might see one night and then the next one it's a completely different one.
Yeah, exactly. So be careful what people tap into their energies, because they can be very different.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's pretty cool when you're standing above and looking at it and just like, wow, they're just right there. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And what do you know about Enochian magic? What is that?
Um, well, to me, I'm seeing that very much a dimensional walking and presenting through dimensions as it presents, as it filters. They say the most important part is the filter of it coming through. Um, so it's almost like when I talked about dreams, how if you go in the dream and you're awake in the dream, you can see it as its original form, but in 3D, it shows itself a different way.
Mm-hmm. And I was getting that, Enochian magic is like symbols coming up, portals, crystalline energy. It coalesces together. The light codes and frequencies come in and it creates portals, and you can go into them to different densities and dimensions. That's what I got when I was playing around with the different light code symbols
Right,
and sigils and key codes.
right. So I think they would look different on different dimensions and different areas over us. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on the energy that's in that area, how they're going to form to us. Because I feel with the wrong energy too, they shut down really quick. So I do
Mm-hmm.
feel, so if they have that, say that awesome energy at the right temperature and everything, you're going to see them expand and show a lot of information. But just say colder temperatures, it might not stay as long, is what I'm
Mm-hmm.
hearing.
Yeah, and you have to have the proper soul frequency to even work with the
Right.
Enochian magic, which is the language of the angels to some degree, because these are individual symbols. When you put them together, they form a bigger puzzle piece. You have to know all the symbols and the codes and the frequencies attached to these codes.
Well, I think most of us that have been seated, you know, were actually seated before we even got here. We had the information before, um, and that resides in us. And so how it is, it's a just a memory of our conscience going back to those codes and that language. That's why I tell everybody, English is not the spiritual language. So I'm looking at codes and I always think going up and down is going to be more normal to me than anything going this way and elongated. I want one word sentences on one symbol. So, all it does is when you see those, it sparks the memory and it sparks a download of information.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. And so what are light keys?
Well, here we go with a door. Everybody thinks physically, you only have air, sky, and all this stuff. And like I think I told you before, they were showing above the pyramids, there's these compartments. So I'm seeing compartments again, you know. So I think we're going to be amazed of how many compartments are right above us that we can just go into. So these are compartments that certain beings can access and get into and get information. But you have to have that activation, the veil of understanding, and not be in any type of fear to even perceive them or even interact with these conscious ones.
Mm-hmm. And would you say these doors are like portals, portal energy?
I do, but I also feel like there's knowledge in them. If that
Mm-hmm.
makes kind
Yeah.
of sense, but there's like knowledge, no knowledge in them. That's what I feel is, and I don't think one looks the same. They all look the same. They all look different, and you kind of have to accept it. And then as you accept it, it opens more into the original form.
Mm-hmm. And you and I had gone into many different densities and dimensions, experienced portal travel, and we had seen thrones. What was that all about?
A job I didn't want to do, and you knew that. Like, no, I don't want to do that because it came into a situation that they were, when they present stuff, you're just like, where is this? And we kind of put ourselves in the physical side and go, and then we're like, what's the risk of sitting in one? That's the first thing I'm thinking, what's going to happen? And then when they showed mini, and then you had to sit in the right one. So what these do is they open up when everything is in sync and the right energy sits in these, then it opens up that energy compartment, what that's for. So one was for the feminine energy, and that's where I felt at that time that we got the feminine love, connection, nature, started really connecting, And then they also sold one, they showed me one where you sit and it's a gold share, which I called you. I was like, what is this stuff? You remember? I was like, I'm confused of what's going on here, And so then they showed that and how big, and these don't look like normal chairs whatsoever. They're massive in like, it's like when I lived in Japan, they have items that tell a story, and it feels like these chairs tell a story before you even get to sit in the chair, and make sure you do things the right way. So that was very strange with seeing it and being careful, and only to sit where you're supposed to and not where you're not supposed to.
Mm-hmm. And who were the they that contacted you about these thrones?
that they were the over creators.
And what are they?
Well, they are just, what I'd have to say, in check with the universe, there's a balance system of things, and knowledge is the balance system, and understanding everything in a compartment, but having respect for every living being. Well, it's as of working your way, and I'm talking about these beings working their way up to having that because they've gone through their own tribulations of being tested, and they're not in flesh needs or anything with that. They're elusive energy frequencies and very strong beings that understand that they all want the same thing as this universe to be at a balance point, but have power, and each of them have different knowledge, of different understanding, but in syncs together as knowledge in a circle. So the thing is, I've seen them on the keys too, but I kind of blew them off, and I started accessing them to get information for other things, other tasks and stuff like that. But then they showed me, Jen, the architecture of the universe, and how that works is dealing with the makers. And the makers had a little more sense of humor, and, and seem easier than the overcreators. So it was just definitely confused at the time that I was talking to all of them. But what I did was drew all of them, matched images up to them, and then said, yes, that's them, by putting the situation and confirming it, because I like things that are confirmed. You can say anything, but if it doesn't back it up, it's not going to do any good.
Yeah, and I spent several hours looking for the golden throne, the silver one, like to find images of what it actually looks like.
It was hard.
Here in physicality, like just looking by description, what you told me, and I did find them eventually. Right. And I ended up going to the halls of Amente, which is like a 7th, 8th dimensional density and realm under the pyramids, under the Giza pyramids. Right. And that's a place where certain Akashic records are. It's a place where there's realms, there's different portals, doorways going to different realms, and there's these thrones. The Flower of Life throne, which is like silver and blue. The Flower of Death throne. So that was weird. I got to see 2 of them. Flower of Death.
Right.
So it's like Flower of Fire as well, throne.
Right.
3 of them.
Most of that, when we're presented with those tasks, not always at first that we are like, no. My whole thing is, no, I want to do it. And I'll sit on it for a while. And I didn't want to do it. And then they'll represent it. It's not something we can sit around and just create this stuff, because a lot of stuff they come up with are like, who would have thought of this? Who would have thought that this is connected? But everything with understanding spirituality and being connected with that, everything's in riddles. Everything's putting something together. And not one person has the answer. It's getting the source from other sources and then putting the puzzle together. That's the way it works in a universal unite together. And that's the thing about this, is just, and no matter what you do, what task they put in front of you, you just think, okay, because you don't know what's going to happen, because at that time you're not supposed to know, you're just supposed to do it. Mm-hmm. And that's what it boils down to. But they know down, they know you so deep inside of your personality, the way you are, the way you are. They know you're going to do it because they know you, true to you, so that you're always going to do it. They're just waiting for you to step up and do it.
Yeah, and I remember when I was in the halls of Amente, and again, this is a physical place, but it's 7th, 8th dimensional, so even your vibration has to go up. You can't go from 3D to 7D. You raise the vibration to the 7D, 8D level. And I went to another place called Vakuntha, which is the celestial planets, the Vedas, the blue people, like Vishnu, Brahma, those guys. I got activated there, and then I saw beautiful celestial planets that are non-materialistic. I hung out there, picked up that seventh, eighth dimensional frequency, then was able to go to the halls of Amente to work on the Flower of Life throne. And I stood over it, and then their sphere came out of it, a blue sphere. And it says, I'm the sphere of knowledge. I'm here to show you what's going on the planet and what the expansion will be like. And it went inside my chest and my heart. Then I was able to sit on the throne.
Right.
It was warm. It was very warm. It raised my temperature, and it gave me a lot of knowledge. It gave me even higher foresight into what's coming in the future and the potentialities and the choices that we can make if we choose to participate in the plan and to be part of the mission. It showed me potential missions that I could be in and do.
Right. See, and that's the thing. I mean, you always have this conversation going on in your head, and people think it's yourself. And I'm like, there's a conversation that's going back and forth with them all the time. It's downloaded. It's like this massive system that works so well together when you're getting these downloads of information. And when I told my students about the diamonds that are connected to source and that are in the back of our head, and that's what's connected to us, to our pineal gland and then his own self. And so I've been having students, and there's like, I'm seeing this ball, like this light of ball. And I go, that's the higher self that's connected to the diamond, and you're supposed to bring it in. That's all they need you to do. And so they've been doing that, and they're just like, it's activating something, because we were always going to go back to that crystallization that we were always formed to be, and be in that frequency, be in that light, be in that vibration, become the filter of energy again. But we had to get out of the sense of the flesh body in any capacity, thinking that we're going to take that flesh body. I don't know about you, but I don't want to take it, and it's not going to work in anywhere else. I mean, bone, water, salt, it's just not going to be the same situation. So, and when we go into that light being frequency, people think, say like these over creators, when you get near them, it's not something that you can stand like me and you close. It's like the light so bright around them. You have to be within the same frequency to even get near them and understand them.
To understand them. Yeah, exactly. When I go into 5D, I'm in a light body. I'm golden. I'm not this. This is not what goes up. It's a light body representation of my soul energy that goes up in that higher frequency.
Right. So we are not, and this is explain everybody, we are not taking our physical bodies that we have here in 3D with us. You will shed this so fast, just like a snake sheds its skin. It's even showing you, because I don't know if you've been feeling this, but I've been telling people, it feels like there's these vibration twitches that you get, and it's like, it's almost testing, like, when we go, you're just going to exit out this way. Just remember how this feels. It's all natural, just showing you how it's going to go. So, I mean, we're getting reminders of how we got in, and now we're getting reminders of how we need to get out. The same process of things.
Yeah, exactly. And you're much lighter in the 5D because you're not in a human physical 3D body. You're not in a meat suit. Your energy, you are in your own energy field. That's right. The light body. It's your own energy. You're just starting to work with it and expand it and go higher in the frequency of 5D and 6D. That's what you do in your inner shadow work. You work with your light body on how to develop that. That is what it means to do the inner shadow work, to work through this 3D body so you access your light body.
Exactly. And so, I mean, I don't understand how anybody would not want to be in that. There's no limitation. And I think it's because humans are so connected. They think that their parents and everything, all that is important. And like I said, you can't take anything with you. You can't take your cars, you can't take your money, you can't take the food, you can't take beer. Forget it. It's all done. And if you're still in that type of programming, you're going to be staying here for a while.
Yeah, because the 5D has its own environment, its own
Right.
sacred safe space where the light body goes 67 higher than angelic realms. And you and I work up in those realms already in densities because we go in the light body.
Right. And this reminds me of what, like last week, 2 weeks, I saw a post on this. My friend sent it to me and she goes, you remember how when we started this journey, as in everybody was talking about the new quantum system and what it was going to be, and Prime said to me, Jen, this has its own conscience completely. It knows what your intentions. It's going to read your rhythm. It's going to read your conscience, whether you're doing good or bad. So it cannot be sabotaged. So someone that steps up to this quantum system has to be completely honest, or it will be denied in every way. And they also show me that crime is going to not exist in the future because of these type of systems that will replace I'd say the judgmental police departments who, and I'm just saying it's true because they're not analyzing things on a fair scale anymore, you know. So I think that's going to make things a lot better. And I know at first everybody's like, oh, it's a system, but we have already been watched more than you ever know. A long time ago it started. So we're coming to a point that just flow with this. It has nothing to do with the matrix or any of that one government situation. It has to do with making things honest because we've made so many mistakes that this is the way we have to be trained to show this is a fair society of doing it in a balanced way.
Mhm. And what are the light keys and the keys that you work with?
Well, the keys that I work with that I designed 4 or 5 years ago, was very frustrating because no one knew what they were, and these were keys that were in the sky that they said that these were put in several environments on this planet to be hidden and deliberately on purpose so no one would ever figure them out together as one. And then when they, I think it was about a year and a half ago, and they're like, okay, we're ready for the new process with these keys. And then that you would see them in the sky. And have had pictures of people going, these are them, aren't they? I'm like, yeah. And they are just like the rings, how they come together and they show the rings and how there's a master key that comes together and what that master key does. And with all those environments together, rain, tropical, ice, all of those as they form together in each ring, um, makes a consistency of an energy here that is a balance point that other species can be within us at the same time and use these doors to go in and out and move things through that need to be moved through. And artifacts, there's a lot of artifacts on this planet that are being taken off and placed somewhere else.
Mhm. And do we have any natural portals on the planet? How do portal systems work?
Well, this goes back to the pyramids too, because they showed there's two major pyramids that are connecting to an energy source. Not all of them are at the same frequency, but there are two majors that they say have never been shut off. That's always been on. It's always been there. Um, so like we'll have to go back to those compartments again that we cannot see, just as they presented the keys. Normal man cannot see these. They're right above, and as they show artifacts too, they're right above the pyramids too. And we're seeing going, there's nothing up there, but there is. There's a lot up there. We're just not visualizing it with the 3D concept.
Yeah, because I know the Giza pyramids, the ones that are by the Sphinx, they have the triangular gold
Mhm.
tops. We can't see them, but it's hanging above it still.
Right.
It's invisible.
Right. But on the top of the pyramids, and they said that is what is connected to the ley lines.
Yeah.
And that's what no man can touch that's in that ground.
Yeah.
You know, and then when that comes together and shoots out and goes right on top, and then it'll go into an activation mode. And I think it's like this society, this program would have demolished the pyramids if they could have, but they couldn't. Just like they couldn't demolish the ley lines because there's no way that man can. So, so that evidence is there. And when it is back online and is back into the system, created together, and aligns everything with the ley lines, the ships, and the let's say ley lines, the pyramids, and the ships. So it'll all be an energy frequency, but they also show Jen. Now with this, you got to understand that this planet ship now can move. And how do you think it got placed where it did? These were all activated.
Because certain parts of the planet where the ley lines are more active, they have natural portals that we can open and close and use crystals to find the portal sequence location and travel through it. If you can see beyond the 3D into 5D energy, you can see the portal frequency waves and vibrations.
Right, and that's where, so these are if you go over the world and you're looking at these, you know, these are the ley lines. And the sequency of all those. And this is another, you know, another view of understanding ley lines. You can't look at that and go, that doesn't mean anything. It does, it means a lot. Look at all that energy above it. And then, and that's when I drew, before I looked at that, I drew all this. And that's what they say. They show these two master pyramids and then going into Earth and being able to come out. And then all these pyramids around the world. So we're like one big massive cellular antenna, you know, the frequency that goes through it. So we don't want to see it that way because NASA has told us something completely different, but this is true.
Yep.
And then one of the things, you know, they presented was like, Jen, how do you think they got here? They were never created by man. They were brought here.
Yeah. Exactly. Everything to this planet, the souls, we come in through crystalline energy. We come in through portals to this planet. Soul comes in through the portal, then goes into the womb and fertilizes into the egg and grows as a fetus in the uterus and physically comes out. But before it does all that, the soul comes near a planet, hovers, goes to a specific portal, connects with the planet to see if it's the right frequency for it. And if it is, then it comes in through the planetary portal,
Right.
Goes into the womb as an egg to take or whatever. So it's a whole process. You're not just floating about in empty space. Your soul matches the frequency of the proper planetary alignment into the proper planetary matrix that you're supposed to come in, 3D, 4D, 5D, up, whatever. Your soul matches itself to the planetary vibration where you're supposed to be. When you know your soul mission, when you want to explore a planet, you're there as a soul energy first, hovering around and testing out the planetary vibration and the portal system.
Right.
See if you're compatible with it or not.
Right. Yeah, that is the truth. Huh? And then
big
some of our
one.
families we're not compatible with.
Yeah, some brainwave patterns and some energy frequency, sometimes the planetary field might go, nope, you're not the vibration for us, go elsewhere. And the
Right.
soul goes searches for something else to choose to physically incarnate into a different planetary body. So portals are energy and frequency, different types. There's natural and there's man-made that you control, and it's wormholes and black holes together that form these portals. It's
Yeah.
like it's an energetic system, and if you calibrate the system correctly, and if the energy and the frequency are all good, then the portal works with stability. If it's not properly calibrated, the coordinates won't go anywhere.
Right. And that's the thing that we see things, it's not one thing that does everything. Everything is a piece together that works in frequency and balance,
Mm-hmm.
which is good, I think. And I think where the human concept is thinking that, and especially an ego concept, is like me, I do it, I can, and that's that process when everybody says I, and they start to go, nope, you're not understanding what's behind you and what works with you. And that's the whole thing about appeasing thyself. It is about appeasing as a collaborated energy as one together.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And you and I, we talk constantly, we share information, and until we figure it out and work it out, we just keep it between you and me until we're ready to share something, because we're in active parts of missions,
Mm-hmm.
doing something up there.
Right. And right now, as things are progressing in a very good way, and I think the concept that man is so uptight or so fixated on time, and it's like, nope, checklist, it's done. And whether you like the date or not, it'll be done when it's done. And there's things getting done right underneath you that you have no idea that are done. So I think it's going to be funny at the end of all of this. But I think where spirit is talking about is some of the seeders that I have sent down that were seated here are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're still stuck in the fact of spinning information and not giving them the free will of the human beings themselves, to make their own decision. That is why they're here. So you can show them and give them independence to make their own decision about their soul. But
Mm-hmm.
you're still seeing a lot of them just circulating them. And so you have to ask yourself, why? Why can't you give me the keys? Why can't you give me the door? Why can't you give me the access to go through there? I would be asking them a lot of that. But if they're trying to sell it in a big package, back off.
Mm-hmm.
We're at a point that we don't need that, and that money will be a easy concept in the future. And so if you have a wad of money and a bundle of money, you still have to take it to the new banks. And I don't know if they're going to exchange it. It depends on your intention. I'm just telling you. So that concept of that 3D losing all of that is like panic to them. But should be looking at it as releasing something that you no longer need in that way. I think um, the teaching needs to change.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And speaking of teaching, you and I, we went up to see the Council of Nine, or the Nine. And what was that like for you? What is the Council of Nine, or the Nine as it's called?
And that's the thing that I've had some people go, I've seen it, and I'm like, it's been there a long time. And I look at some of them, and I'm not talking about the ones that are waking up. I'm talking about the ones that are been doing this for a long time. And I'm like, you're barely getting into that? And that tells me it, because the council will show you them at your veil of understanding. So you have some people see counts of 9. They only see 9 councils. That's just an actual title to it. But there's more. There's more behind them. There's layers behind them. But it has to do with your veil of understanding, what you could see. And so the way I see it is, it's when you find yourself and you're paying attention to severe detail and you're looking through things and you're going past the program of the human program, and then they're there, and then they're talking to you and communicating with you, and you're accepting whatever vessel they're in, whatever, how they look. They don't look like humans. And how they're dressed in their according wardrobe, I would say. And your mindset is already at an acceptance stage. You're not sitting there in a judgmental stage of thinking this one being is supposed to be this bad being. And I asked Spirit about that, and he goes, everything in this universe can make a good choice. It can decide to go from one side to the other and make that free will choice. And so I have gotten to the concept, it's like, it doesn't matter what it looks like, as long as it's serving the light and it's doing what it's supposed to be doing now, that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very tall beings, but it's, again, another elusive state. As you can go see through them, you can see their energy through them. The background of the cities that you see them in, I don't even call them cities, I call crystal parliaments, where they reside in, and in a circle of these kind of like Alice in Wonderland sometimes, or you see Wizard of Oz. It's a circle that goes into, and they're all standing around it, communicating and divulging information, or having something open up right there in front of them. So each one looks totally different, completely different.
Mm-hmm. We saw Gaia, and we saw the trees coming out of her head in the light, connecting
Right.
to nature. We both
Yeah,
saw that.
she's beautiful. And when I've done several, I have several pictures of her I've done, and it sometimes she shows bark, brown bark coming out of her, and just, seeing that is, and then the tone of the light and everything, it's just a calmness that surrounds you in nature's.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a sweet calmness with her.
Yeah, and I saw beautiful blue purple pyramids in a very healing ninth dimension. I went because you can go with the council to different dimensions, and again, everything changes based on where you need to be or should be for healing, or whatever you need to learn from these guys. It's all about learning and connecting. They help with inner wisdom, inner healing, with whatever you're going through. They can help with that, to align it, attune it, to balance and ground that, so you have an easier time here when you come back from there.
Right. And I think if people want to understand the higher dimensions, it's like a ball of light that has different colors around the ball of light. Now, they can manifest in any form that they think your veil of understanding will adjust to. So I always present to them, because I'm at a point of really understanding that it doesn't matter what it is, you can create anything you want to be. So I just always tell them, show me at your original form, and I will adjust my mindset for that. And usually when I see that, it's all light with several layers of balls of light around it, and then they just manifest whatever they want in a quickly precise energy, because they are a ball of light.
Exactly, and they've been called the Council of Nine, or just the Nine. Sometimes people have called Council of Five. There's so many different councils.
Yeah, exactly. And you never know when they're going to pop in, because their voice has a different frequency of a knowing that comes in. And it's really funny, because your mind knows, the spiritual level and all that stuff comes in, but this is a different knowing. They can say one word and your mind completely understands what they're saying. It's
Mm-hmm.
a subtle voice, but authority within the voice sometimes.
Yeah, because they know what you're thinking. They're connected to your soul vibration.
Right.
Just like you're connected to them. They're all knowing, they're all seeing, they're beyond physicality, their energy.
Right. Exactly. And I think people, when I teach them, that they're amazed that they're seeing these beings. I get a lot of students that are crying, they're emotional, and it's because they're so desperate to connect with these beings because no one is letting them access them. And it's always been there.
Yes. Oh
You
yeah.
know, it's
Like,
always been.
yeah. And they seem to show up when you need the most help.
Right.
They're
Exactly.
like guides.
They are. Um, but it's funny too. I mean, they have a sense of humor on certain things.
Oh yeah. And when I was up there, they said, that's just a human thing. That's just an issue you're having now. It's not a big problem. You're just making more out of it energetically than you need to. Here's some healing for you in the energy pyramid with the crystals. Let it go, release. The more you hold that vibration of that heavier frequency, the longer the situation goes on. The moment you release that frequency, and the item goes away physically once you've released the frequency.
Right. Yeah, it's all about, and it goes back to the ego thing. You're controlling, containing, and then that's your protection process. And it's like, let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Let it completely go. Let it
Yeah.
be free. Let it go back into the universe. Let it go into the atmosphere and release it.
Yeah. And it's purified energy that goes up there, that goes back. It's not the problem. That is all released and let go of. It's pure energy that goes up.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else that you'd like to discuss or mention?
I just think right now, all that's going on is that you don't really have to pay attention to. And what you do need to pay attention to is your own energy. And nature has this way of cleansing things, but nature right now is sitting back and watching this event like we should be. And just being a process of, going through it and acceptancing it and not trying to control it because it was already done before it started. It was. And at the end of everything, people will know. Um, and if it wasn't done, we would have never gotten to this far as we have already.
Mm-hmm.
And so, really, the biggest thing that I think humans need to start understanding is from your soul, the core of your soul, is completely letting fear dismantle.
Yeah. It's like fear is death. Fear is the death killer, the
Oh,
mind killer. You let it go and you have pure freedom to explore and play energetically, physically, and be yourself and whatever you want to explore and be.
exactly. That's
Because
good.
beyond fear, you have just beauty and energy and love and compassion. You can explore and play and just enjoy figuring out who you are.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're much lighter as well. You have more opportunities and you have a chance to figure out, what do you want? Why are you here? What's the mission? What are the soul connections with your soul family and everybody else that you're supposed to be working with in harmony for the light frequency coming in, the light codes, grounding and balancing that for this planet so we can shift quicker into 5D.
Right. And so, if this is the way it is, if anybody gets in your way of your path to get to the light, you need to blow them over and say, no matter what you do, no matter what you put in front of me, I'm going to reach that light and I'm going back to the source. So
Mm-hmm.
you either help me or get out of the way.
Yeah, just leave. It's a free world, free place. Whatever does not resonate is welcome to walk away and do its own thing where it's supposed to do the most good, wherever that is. We make connections all the time with the ones that we're supposed to be connecting with at the time, and we work with them. It's beautiful.
Right. And I think with even I tell clients, and they think, God, that's a bold remark. And I'm like, no, I'm confident in them. So I say, if you want to know about me, just ask them. They'll tell you on the other side.
And also Yeah, on the other side, and also perception. You and I don't hold perception of we're on this side or that side. We're very neutral. We don't take sides in anything.
No, we just keep to what Prime needs us to do.
We just neutral observers, neutral party. We may look into things with our ability and say, these are the answers to this. Here's why. But we don't take a side left and right. We just, this is what is, and this is why it is.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, what I've noticed about Prime and that energy and the spiritual energy is they're consistent. They stay on a pattern. They stay on a goal. They don't usually sway off. They're like, until that goal is met, until that situation is over, then they'll present a new situation, but they are not all over the place leading you one direction and another direction. It just doesn't work that way. It just confuses people.
Yeah, and source connects us to each other when we need to be connected to each other. There's no coincidence how you and I met, because I was just, Kimberly is another friend of ours, Kimberly Palm. We were supposed to do something about Atlantis remote viewing, and her friend couldn't make it, something about a new job. And you stepped in, you texted me and said, I know you, and this is why. And I said, Source Creators connecting us. Would you like to join us in for this remote viewing of Atlantis? And you said, yes, of course, Sources has sent me. And we did such a good job without even knowing each other. We just talked for a little bit. You came in, yeah. We connected. It was great. And because Source brought us together for something incredible.
Right. And I think there's a lot of individuals out there that not everybody understands everybody. But Source does understand their technique and their way they do things, you know, but they still get their word across and they're still leading people. So that's all that matters.
Yeah. Energy connects to the energy where it's supposed to create together.
Right.
We're all creating something beautiful, and we're working together for the things we're here to do together as soul groups. And it is amazing when you just click and you know, like you and I we just know this stuff when we connect. You and I are connecting on a different language. We're not connecting human language. We're connecting from that stuff above.
Right.
So it's amazing.
Yeah, Prime is a good one.
For sure. Yeah. Well, thank you, Jenny. You're amazing as always.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again soon.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much.
Okay. You guys have a good night.
You too. Bye.